So you're topping this club right here, your irons. The reason is you can't control low point. Today I'm going to teach you what it is and the 3 factors that influence it. Low point is where the club hits the ground. Every golf swing has a low point, i.e. where the club is at its lowest point. And if that low point is in the right spot, you're going to hit the ball and then the ground. So what are the 3 factors that tie into it? All right, number 3 is the most simple and the most obvious, and that is simply ball position, right? So when I make a golf swing, if I had the ball really far forward in my stance, off my lead foot, okay, it would be almost impossible for the low point where the club hits the ground to come in contact with the golf ball. I would bottom out or low point here and I top. Let me just go ahead and hit a shot. So I got the ball way forward. Okay, you could see low point was way back here. Did you get that, Nick? Did you get, okay, Nick got it. Nick gave us a thumbs up. Oh, thumbs down. Give us a thumbs up. Don't give us a thumbs down, give us a thumbs up. But you could see how the low point was way back here. So the first one that I want to share with you, and it's just the most obvious, is ball position. Now, what is the right ball position for irons and how can you find it? Well, the right ball position, and we've done a ton of videos on this, all right, is basically off the buttons on your golf shirt. When you're hitting a 6 iron, a 7 iron, an 8 iron, something like that, all right? Drivers, more forward, hybrids, more forward than that. We've got a ton of videos on that. But how do you find it for the irons? Well, here's what you're gonna do. I've got my 6 iron. I'm gonna go ahead and put the club behind the golf ball, and notice how my feet are together and the ball's in the center of my heels, just like this, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a step towards the target and then take an equal step away from the target. Let me do that again. Feet together, step towards, step away, relatively equal steps both directions. That's gonna position the ball basically off the buttons on my shirt and give me the best chance to have the low point match up where the golf ball is at. Number 2, okay, number 2 is lead arm direction, all right? Number 2 is lead arm direction. Now, what do I mean by lead arm direction? Well, my lead arm, which is my left arm, and this is the whole concept. This is the whole cornerstone of the vertical line swing that we've created in the book, The Bad Lie. You should check that out. It's on Amazon if you're interested in learning more about the vertical line swing system. But the direction of the lead arm has a huge impact on low point, i.e. where the club hits the ground. When we swing the club with my lead arm low and around, the low point, remember where the club hits the ground, tends to move backwards towards your trail foot. When we swing the lead arm more straight back and up, the low point tends to move more forward. If we want to move that low point more forward so we hit the ball and then the ground, one of the things we can do is to get the lead arm working more straight back and more up, all right? So something like this. So I'm setting here, I've got the ball in the right spot, off the buttons on my shirt. I want that lead arm to work more straight back and up, kind of like there. Now I got my main man Nick behind the camera, and what you're gonna see here is where should that lead arm be? Well, I like to see that lead arm be somewhere between kind of like my chin and my shoulder. That's a pretty good general guideline. If the lead arm on one of my students starts to get below the shoulder, we're gonna have a problem. Or they're gonna have to be really young and really flexible and really rotate hard. So as a reference point, you want it somewhere between your chin and your shoulder. Now, how can you find that? All right, how can you find that? Well, pretty simple. Just get set in there, okay? Stay in your golf posture, take your arms and lift them up to about button high, and then just rotate and turn. Boom, there it is, see? Now, the key here is staying in your posture. Lift, turn. How does that look, Nick? How's it, am I in spot? Okay, now, see, we got Nick to give us a thumbs up. All right, I knew eventually we would, right? Okay, so lift, turn, that's where I want it, that's where I would want it to be. All right, now the number 1 reason we top our irons, this club right here, is because we have improper weight shift. Okay, because weight shift also influences low point. We're learning what low point is and the 3 things that impact it. So the number 1 and the most common one is weight shift. When we swing the golf club, the bottom of the swing, what's the name? Low point, right? Will tend to follow the weight on my feet. So if my weight stays back, the low point stays back. If my weight goes forward, the low point moves forward, all right? Okay, so we got ball position, we got lead arm direction, and we got weight. Where should the weight be? Well, we know this, that at impact, we definitely want the weight more forward. At impact with an iron, depending upon on swing style, but in the vertical line swing, we definitely want the weight to be onto the lead foot. So maybe I would say 70–80% of the weight should be on the lead foot at the moment of impact. So how can you practice that? How can you take that information to the golf course and start hitting more solid shots with your irons? Well, simply, when you finish your swing, just make sure that your knees are touching. If my knees are touching, my weight has to go forward. If my knees are not touching, notice the weight's going to be back. So get forward and get your knees touching. So low point is where the club hits the ground, right? So when I'm set in here, I got my buttons, boom, I got my lead arm direction, I got my knees touching. Oh, that was the most solid shot of the day. If I do those things, the low point moves forward. Now that you know what low point is and how to hit crisp iron shots, let me share with you 5 things that all great ball strikers do before they swing the golf club in my next video.